Easy E.
Shawnee.
So I was late back Sunday night.
You were, huh?
Late back home Sunday night.
When?
Last Sunday night.
No, you weren't. Sure,
I was late back for me. I tell you how late I was. The fourth quarter had just started in the 49ers game. That's how late I was.
All right. Okay.
I was late,
Fair
and
enough.
usually I'm back home at 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening, the latest. But it was 11 o'clock, so that's 5 hours later than normal, right? That's late. I'm usually usually in bed the other 5-6 days a week by then. But I had to stay up, watch the 49ers. They broke my heart. Half the team's injured again. It's a lost season. So I went up to bed. I lay in bed, and I was obviously disappointed. And she was like, "Good night." And I was like, "I want a donkey." And she was like, "We'll discuss in the morning." She doesn't remember this conversation, but it happened. So the next morning, I was like,
"Did you get her to agree to it, though? Did you get her to agree to it?"
We're getting close to agreeing to it. I told her I want a pet donkey. She's like, "Wow, I feed her." I'm like, no. A pet donkey. I want to feed it cookies in the kitchen. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" And you know what? We'll tell everyone exactly what's going on right after the intro music to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Eric, I think you'll do a better job than me than explaining our newfound love for wanting a pet donkey.
Yeah, I think I was the only one that really picked up on this on social media, that Arnold Schwarzenegger had 2 pet donkeys during lockdown. And like, you'd be doing a video of like telling people, lift your weights, eat your food, all this. And then all of a sudden, this donkey had just walked in. Hi, Lulu, eat a cookie, Lulu. And again, he's just feeding the donkey a cookie and chasing it around the garden. And absolutely brilliant. But we went to the show and we seen Lester Stallone and Arnie doing their interview, and lo and behold, coming across the Zoom call, in comes the donkey. Just see this big snout covering the screen and eating cookies. Absolutely brilliant.
You and I were like, Lulu!
Lulu!
So anyway, just to backtrack a small bit further, we went to the Arnold Sports Festival in Birmingham the very first time it was on in the UK. And since it's called the Arnold Sports Festival, you expect Arnold to be there. So he was obviously scheduled to be there. And then like 2 days before the event, he does this Instagram video. And the first minute, I'm probably not, am I exaggerating? The first 30 seconds to a minute.
30, 40 seconds.
40 seconds is just him walking to the kitchen, getting some water, feeding Lulu. Lulu, eat the cookie, Lulu. And then he's like, "I'm so excited about the Arnold Sports Festival on this weekend in Birmingham. Oh, by the way, I can't make it because of my foot." And then he spends the rest of the video just feeding his donkey and saying how great time it's going to be.
Feeding the donkey and kind of forgets the video's rolling and then just goes, "Oh, anyway, yes, this weekend I'm making millions off a festival, but I can't be there."
It was the worst apology video, but yet the best apology video ever. We went to the Arnold Sports Festival, the two of us, and Aaron, who used to be on the podcast early last year. Yeah, it was a good time, and the supplements and all the rest of there. And there's a lot of selling, there's a lot of marketing stuff like that, and there's a lot of big bodybuilders and stuff there. A lot of great athletes there too, and we got to see Sylvester Stallone do an hour talk, which pumped me up because I've been a huge Rocky fan and Rambo fan and all the rest. And then he was doing a talk with Dolph Lundgren, and then like Eric said, Arnie just appeared in the screen, and like for a second I was like, "Oh, Arnie's there," and then Lulu comes across the screen. And it was just the best thing ever. But that was a fun day out.
Yeah, but having said that, now you want a donkey though. I want a donkey. Let Arnie have a sing. You're going for the gimmick infringement, and you're getting a donkey.
Complete gimmick infringement. It's going to be a long time before I get there now. But I thought it was just a horse, 2 dogs, and a cat, along with 10 chickens. But a pet donkey, man.
Have to say though, for those who have seen bodybuilding or have opinions in bodybuilding, coming from guys who we were into our weights, our football, then we went into our weights and lifting and size and big, and then we went into running. We got lean, and we got very happy being lean, and it was easier to be lighter than it was to be heavier. We were very lean men surrounded by very lean men who are very big men and women. Like I thought I was lean. But then I did a body fat test and they told me I was fat. And then you look at these guys are about 120, 130 kilos, and they're at about 1.5 to 2% body fat on stage. And it is so impressive. But I don't think I could do it. I was just thinking of what they have to do to get there. And I don't think I don't think I have the willpower. It's just, but I admire them. They are professionals at what they do. And that was one thing I really took away from it, was like, this is their job. This is what they do. This is their sport, I suppose, is the best way. They get their sponsorship. Brings them into finances, so they do it. Because I was like, I don't know where I'd find the time.
It's a 24/7 sport. It has to be. I mean, like, you know, if you have a big game or stuff in any other sport, you know, you play the big game, you win the big final ever, you go in the beer, you have a few drinks and stuff. Even during weekdays, whenever you have a few beers, whatever, you can get by in that. But in bodybuilding, because of how freaking lean they are, like they can't do any of that. They can't deviate at all from their plan. So, like, while they're in the gym, stupid amount of hours, as soon as they're out of there, they're constantly thinking about refueling and everything else. And it's a mad sport with a lot going on in it right now, actually.
It's kind of like, I actually took a lot from it in terms of, like, well, you can let the discipline go, because I know the calories are going to be burnt on the Sunday or the Saturday. But I was like, do you know what? If I just maintain a little bit of discipline, I won't be them, but it's just think of the discipline they have and take a tenth of it. You know, like, you'd be really good in terms of nutrition and in terms of dedication to training. For me, I'd be more my friends and family. So I understand they're making huge sacrifices, and they probably don't have much of a personal life. They really don't have much of a personal life. And it became very evident the more of the big guys we were meeting. You could tell they were just lads that love gymming, and they probably go 2 hours a day. But they are not your 8-pack slim gyms. They are just big men and women. But the other guys who are on the stage, you're like, wow, yeah, that's a lot of dedication over a long period of time. And you kind of go, if I could take a fraction of that and kind of add it into what we're doing, you'd be in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal shape. In a dedication. And we did talk about it though as well, that to look at, you're like, my God, it's Hercules. It's everything. It's the statue. It's a Michelangelo's produced it. It's a sculpture. And then you go, and we said it as we were drinking pints, looking at them. You reckon they could run 15K in the morning? The answer was definitely not. And they wouldn't have the energy to do it. They wouldn't have the capacity to do it. They'd burn out. There's not enough body fat on them to carry them for an endurance kind of sport, but it's absolutely amazing. It was an eye-opener. Really was an eye-opener. And it is great. It's great to see these other sports. It's great to see how far the body can be pushed in different aspects. Okay, we've gone into the running route and strength route, but to look at the extremes of bodybuilding, male and female, to see them standing side by side, the physique, the effort, the attention to detail of what they're working at, you know, and the plan they have, and the dedication, it was absolutely amazing. As it is to any other sport, or those who are dedicated to triathlons and marathon. It was just nice. It was eye-opening. It really was. It was nice to take a step back from going to a running expo and go to something else that we were way out of our depth in, but it was very enjoyable.
Oh, completely. But did you see the donkey?
Right. That's enough of that crap. Tell me about your running.
So, because we went to the Arnold Sports Festival on the Saturday, I wanted to get a run in. So this is going to be a tale of two completely different runs, and a point we've hammered home before that you'll probably pick up on halfway through, unless you saw Sunday's Instagram post on it. So on Saturday, I had a couple of hours work. After that, I was like, right, I go home, I get a bit of lunch into me, I'll go for a long run at 2:00. The aim was to do 26K. And I was like, right, I'll do 26K. I'll figure out the route. I knew I had half an idea where I was going, and then try and add on a bit to it on the way back to build up to 26K. So 2:00 came, didn't happen. 3:00 came, went to check me chickens. 4:00 came, I had a job to do around the farm. By the time 5:00 came, I was like, right, I'm having dinner at 7:00. If I don't leave right now, I'm not going. And I hadn't eaten since 1:00. I was like, right, feck it, I'll just go now. I'll throw on my gear and I'll go run. I grab a Lucozade bottle. Half the fucking thing was gone. I was like, great, what will I listen to? I've been on Eminem buzz lately. I just stick on Eminem's best hits, whatever. Found a random Spotify playlist, that, bang, stuck it on, away I went. And I got halfway through. So I was up in Nace around 12K from the house. Got halfway through there. Not even halfway the run. Actually, the first point was going to be, took another swig of Luke's Aid and I realised Luke's Aid's empty. I'm gone. I'm tired. I'm not feeling great. I'm on the way back. The Eminem hits have stopped. You know, we've stopped. We were listening to Sink for the Moment, to Lose Yourself Until I Collapse and all the rest. And then he starts talking about mad things. The word itself is clean, but if you ever Google it, you might get sick. Felching. You ever heard of felching before?
No.
Google it afterwards. It's absolutely nasty. He talks about that and then does a whole verse on it. And I genuinely, I remember where I was. There's butchers on the way back from Nace that do a great deal on chicken fillets, like 25 for €20. And I'm looking and going, I love a chicken fillet. And he's talking about felching. And I genuinely thought I was going to get sick. I had to change the track. I'm like, my God. So I had to stop when I got another kilometer back. And I had to stop again. And I stopped again. And I had 19.75 kilometers done. And the very first time I've ever done it, I was feeling lightheaded, feeling like crap. And I was like, I'm not making it back. It's 7 o'clock. I should be eating dinner right now. Made the phone call. Pick me up.
Oh, no.
Made phone. It's done. I know. I was getting lightheaded and everything. I was like, I was done.
The donkey came to get you.
The donkey. What's that?
And did the donkey come and get you?
No, the donkey did not come and get me. A car came and get me. Let's not mention no donkey in that story. But I got a lift. And I sat in the car and she's like, yo, everything all right? And genuinely it was, because here's the thing. As crappy it is not to finish a run, in a way, and in a sick kind of way, I was delighted. Like I completely failed. I was supposed to do 26K, I only done 19.75. And every year I always get that one run where it's just the absolute drizzle and shits, and this was it. And I was delighted to get it away, because now it woke me up and I'm like, right, you've a lot of work to do. You've got 3 weeks. And I literally signed up for the Kildare Town Marathon the day before and told, today or 2 days before, and told people, actually, I'm doing this now. I'm building towards a sub 4. That's my goal on it. And people have said, like, why are you putting this pressure on yourself? It's like, but I need a challenge now. It's official time. To me, I need to work towards something rather than just do it. Because the virtual marathon was just to do it. Now there's an official time and all the rest. I don't have that excuse. And it's fun and exciting in a way to go, right, now I have to try and push myself further. So I did that run, crap, failed. Where did I go wrong? I started looking at my Strava and just being like, what kind of runs was I doing the last couple of years for Dublin, and trying to see where I was in there? Because even talking to you in the podcast last week, I had it in my head that I've not done enough running. Like, I've only done a 7K solo run the week before and the 5K before that, everything that's going on. And then I started looking like what I've done this year. And I've done, like, I'm averaging 3 runs a week. I'm done 1,100 kilometers so far. And it's not a lot for a lot of people, but for me, I've definitely done more run this year than any other year. So I'm like, right, hang on. I'm not actually as far as the way I think I am. It's just in my head and with that bad run. So I got up Monday, still wanting a donkey, so motivated to get a donkey. And as well as that, I was pissed off the game, but I was also right. I failed in that run. I failed that long run. I got to build this back up now. I was focused more so than pissed off. Focus, I'd say. So I turned the watch, go for a run. It's like, you should rest today. I'm like, not today. So I went and did me run. And I swear to you, every day this week I ran. Monday to Friday I ran. And every day I turned on that watch to set the run yoke on it. And it's like, rest day. I'm like, not today, pal. We gotta go. So coming up to the run Sunday, which is earlier on today as we record this podcast, 32K. Now, I stopped at 19 kilometers 19.75 last week. 8 days later, 32. I should not be able to do 32 since I stopped so early. The difference, and we've talked about this before, was the mental approach. I told people during the week, I told yourself even, I'm doing a 32K on Sunday. Not only did I tell you I'm doing it, I was like, I know how I'm doing it. I had the playlist. There was no Eminem belching on it. I had built up the playlist. I knew what song was going to play when. I knew that I was running to a certain point and back. I was doing it twice, so halfway through I get to refuel and go back at it again. It was the same 10-mile loop I always do, so I knew that was there. I knew what time I was doing it. I knew the clothes I was wearing. I knew everything was all set up. And on the Saturday, instead of like mating around and stuff, whatever, I was watching TV. I was watching new Dave Chappelle special. I was just chilling out the Saturday. And then I knew Sunday morning, right, get up, 8 o'clock. Okay, I got up at 8:30. But early enough start to the run. I know where I'm going. I knew what I was doing. I knew when I was halfway back from the first loop, I had around 9 miles done. And I was listening to music. Okay, so I changed from a big rap to rock music next. And I had a lot of segmented like that. And I was like, my body, I just checked in my body. My body feels great. I don't feel tired at all. I knew I'm going to have a bit of a rest in a second, 2-3 minutes, and head back out of the house again. That my mind was set on 32, and I knew I was going to hit 32. Whereas the day before, the week before, my mind wasn't set. It was like maybe 26, maybe 24. Not too sure where I'm going. Not too sure what time I was going at. I hadn't got much water that day. Hadn't eaten in 4 or 5 hours before going for that run. When I was supposed to be having their dinner that time, I was going out on a 26K run. And it was just completely messy. So my point to all this is what we said before about the marathons, the virtual marathons, everything else is you mightn't think you have the virtual marathon in you because the crowds aren't there. You might be nervous about it coming up. But once you set your mind on it and once you have your day planned out and everything that goes with it, it just, you find a way on the day. It's so much mental. Like you've talked before, Eric, about it being like 40% physical and 60% mental, where you think you're done, you're only 40% of the way. And that's exactly what happened this week. So if you look at my two Stravas, you're like, hang on a sec. I was actually slower on the 19.75 than I was doing 32K today. Yeah. I didn't get fitter in 8 days. I didn't get that much fitter. If anything, almost more unfit because I ran 5 straight days. My body should have been a little more beat up leading up to that. But it's all up there in the head. Yeah,
it really does show you that preparation is king, and how you treat yourself is the most important thing. And that's where it teaches you to be good to yourself mentally and physically. Like a bad run will teach you to be easy on yourself. You miss a training session, that's okay. Tomorrow's another one. Didn't go too well, but I got 4K, and take the positive out of it and keep building towards that big one. And that's exactly what you're doing. And it's really good. I think I rang you as you were just kicking off onto the second half of the loop.
It was getting good, but Hell's Bells, AC/DC was kicking in. It was just slowly building up, and I had Do Not Disturb on, which means you rang twice.
I rang twice, yeah.
How are you getting on? Oh, doing all right.
But I could hear your cadence. Your cadence was up. Yeah, I knew you were comfortable because I could hear the feet bump, bump, bump. But I was like, oh, the feet are going well. He's comfortable. So you can tell a lot by that as well. Even over the phone, you can hear the slap of the feet. And you can hear how it's going. I was like, hey, you should be all right. And then I stopped caring about you and assumed you.
Went well.
So speaking of virtual, Shawnee, I think it's time to bring on someone who's also taking on the virtuals.
Yes, so someone who did a London virtual marathon last week and is also our Any Given Training Day yoga coach. We will have Jill on the line. I think we got her set up right here now. Jill, welcome back to the podcast and congrats on doing the virtual London Marathon last week in the Phoenix Park. How is the body feeling?
Thanks, Sean.
Do it in the Phoenix Park.
Did you not do it in the Phoenix Park?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I was going to do it in the Phoenix Park, so maybe you've got telepathy as well as all your other skills there. No, I did it locally. I did it around my own.
One of his skills isn't hosting a podcast anyway, that's for sure.
I'm pretty sure Eric gave me the notes that said, make sure to mention that Jill did it in the Phoenix Park and she's going around there.
You're such a hangman.
Too many hills in the park. I know, I'm only joking. I did it in locally here in Ashburn, Kilbride, Ratoath, and various surrounding areas. Yeah.
How did you find running on main roads on your own?
I loved it. I set out about 6:15 in the morning, knowing that I was just going to snake around the housing estates here, and that it was going to pick up quite a bit of distance between the roundabouts. There's about 5 kilometres between 2 roundabouts here, so I knew I'd pick up a bit of ground doing it that way. And then it was about 8:30 when I set off down towards Ratoath and into Harlockstown and Kilbride. Running on the main road, it was tough enough on part of it because I did no idea how busy it was going to be. There was horse boxes everywhere at 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Who knew? And then I took off on a little rural road down Harlockstown towards Kilbride, and it got a bit lonely, and it got to a point where I was at about 30k, and I thought I just can't take any more country roads because the way they slant in towards the edge, and there's little pebbles and stones all over the place. And I thought, I can't take any more of this. So I went back towards Ashburn, and I know the roads and the footpaths in the area so well at this point. So I knew how to avoid the little ascents and the descents and what was down, and I stuck to the flats to finish it up. So, yeah.
Very good. And did you have a little support network with you on the day, or how does one do a marathon on her own on a random morning?
I did. Yeah, I did. So because myself and my husband were doing it, and we have 2 kids, so we had my sister over. So she took the kids, she fed the kids. I took a couple of loo breaks at one point in the first half, came home to cooking toast and coffee and eggs and rashers, and I still had to go back out and do another half. So that was great crack. My family then met us at the finish line, which wasn't too far from my own hull door, and then 2 of my friends from my football team, and we also have a little running group, Anne-Marie and Leah, so they met me for the last 10 to 12k or so, and they were a fabulous support in the last bit as well, so I have to give them a shout out. They're brilliant. And then loads of text messages kept me going. I took some walking breaks. Now, don't get me wrong, I was no Sonia O'Sullivan. I didn't run from beginning to end. I took my walking breaks and I read my text messages. And I was on the London app as well. I was on the Tracker app. So what I didn't realise was that when you get to a certain point, it tells you you're at the Cutty Sark and you're at Big Ben and you're at London Bridge. And what was a lovely surprise was that halfway point, and I was on my way towards Kilbride, and it said that there was a selfie frame had been put onto your app at the halfway point, so you could take a selfie with London Bridge behind you, which was lovely. But because I was in the back arse of nowhere, I had no reception to pull up the all of that junk. So I had to keep going. So I have no selfie on London Bridge. But yeah, so that was my support.
Obviously a marathon, there's nothing easy about a marathon, but you were doing this and you're doing another one again in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, so I say.
It's
on the podcast now, you're in.
Yeah, I've committed. And I think I have to be accountable now that I've said it to a podcast. And I've said it to a number of people, and I've shared the countdown days on my Facebook page. But yeah, look, my husband turns 40 the day, 2 days before we are running it. So we're going down with a gang from the family, and we're just going to, I'm just going to keep thinking of the bubbles at the end and just find the motivation from that. And they'll be along the route as well, no doubt. Our marathon chasers, we call them our marathon chasers. They'll be along the route as well, no doubt. And they'll give us a push.
Obviously being virtual this year, what is the plan, or where are you going to kind of have that motivation, or what? Because again, you can't do country roads again.
No. So yeah, I mean, I've 2 weeks left. I still have 14 days left to train. So to be fair, to be fair on myself, I've done I because I know the roads, and I know that if I'm going to run down to that garage 5 kilometers away, I know exactly what every footstep's going to be like. So I don't mind it. And I think if I didn't do it, I might miss it, and the horses and the moo cows and all the things I see along the way, a couple of goats. And as for motivation, I think I'm just going to have to start rewarding myself. Little purchases. The online purchases are good for motivation. I don't mind the odd one of those. But everyone says running is free, but my Jesus, I've spent a bloody fortune between runners and feckin' shorts and socks and all the gels and stuff. So yeah, look, I'd buy something else non-running. Yeah.
Very good. And then the Dublin one. So Seán has actually found a sneaky marathon that he's going to go and do because he wants a medal.
I want 2 medals for one race. The marathon's hard enough. I think I deserve 2 medals for it. So I'm sticking on the marathon as well as doing. 100. Well, unless someone's listening to it. About 100%. To be you run a marathon, you get a medal, you get a virtual one and a real one. I'm happy out with it.
And what are you going to do for the Dublin one, Jill?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What am I going to do?
Where are you going? Where are you going?
To do the Dublin one?
Yeah.
Waterford.
You never told us.
You never said it. We're waiting for you to say it.
Read your mind. My God, Jill.
You're probably doing the Greenway or something if I can read your mind, but I can't read your mind, so I have no idea where you're doing it.
See, Sean, that's how we go in from the Phoenix Park. You should have known she was going to Waterford.
I'm with you now. It's been a long day and a long week. Very tired. I'm going to Waterford and I'm going to run the Greenway in Waterford. So I'm going to run the Greenway is 46 kilometers long, I believe, and we need 42.2 of that. So we're going to run, myself and my husband, going to run the Greenway from Dungarvan to Waterford City on Sunday the 24th.
I hate to break it to you, Jill, but that's the harder direction. But you've said it now on the podcast, so that's it. That's what you're doing. So we'll be watching for it.
Why is it the harder part? Like, how is it the harder part?
More uphills, wind is in your face the whole way. So listen, best of luck. No, we're really rooting for you.
What goes up must come down, Eric. Don't hills go down as well as up.
I'm winding up. No, it's just all uphill, really.
Like Dingle.
But it is a nice one. I suppose it is. You're going to see something new, and for those who have cycled it as well, it's really nice. Yeah. There's lots of little kind of natural breaks along the way, changes in scenery all along the way. So. Yeah, you're probably
coffee trucks for caffeine.
If you want our advice, walk the first 3.8 kilometers and then start running, because you don't want to finish with 4 kilometers to walk.
No, I don't. And that happened to me on last Sunday. And I set the tracker for London, and I'm going to stop talking about London because I've done nothing but since last week, and I wasn't even in London. The tracker recorded my 26.2 miles, but the my app on my phone, my Fitbit, recorded 45.5 kilometers. So it nearly got me at 46 kilometers. So I didn't know when to stop. So, 4 more kilometers and I might have bagged myself an ultra marathon. But 4 more kilometers could have added 4 more hours, to be fair. So,
go on, Sean.
I was just going to say, just for people that are doing the virtual couple of weeks, obviously you did it there where you live. Is there anything that you did that day that you would change differently for people that do want to run around home? Because like you say, knowing the garage stuff is 5 kilometers away is a great motivator to know that distance and stuff. But is there anything for other people that you would recommend saying, this I should have done different?
Slower, and starting out slower for me is one thing that I really need to listen to, because when I got to the end of London last week, I couldn't move, and I was saying it to Eric during the week, I had no injury, I had no pain, nothing was sore because I wasn't going fast enough, but I genuinely had no power left in me. My legs couldn't move. So I think starting out a little bit slower, knowing that if somebody's doing a marathon virtually, you don't have, I used to, I've only done Dublin once, but I've done quite a few other halves and 10s, but the sea of people that you meet along the way, they're like a tide and they just bring you along on your race. When you're doing a virtual, you don't have any of that, and you don't know when you're going to get blown off the road by somebody who knows you, who's passing you by, who throws a bottle of water out the window at you and blows you off the road and nearly gives you a heart attack. You just don't know when that's going to happen on a virtual. So, take the earphones out every so often and listen to, like, it sounds mad, but listen to the birds, listen to the trees, and pay attention to the traffic, and start out a little bit slower than you might have done. And I know you guys did a podcast before that I listened to with bated breath, and it was about starting off slow and running slower to run faster. And for me, I have to say that I listened to it and I thought it was amazing. And I listened to it on a long run, and it changed my long run completely, and it upped my pace for me. So, take it easy, do it slow and steady. Stash water in place. I stashed water and flat Coca-Cola and jelly babies in Ziploc bags to keep the slugs away. Along my route, I stashed discarded clothes along the way as well. Some of them got nicked, actually, and just remember where you're leaving stuff. Yeah, my rain jacket got nicked. So look, that's fine, whatever. Used to buy myself a new one.
Yeah, and I suppose it's one element we've kind of looked at. For me, the virtuals are so hard to do, but I suppose if you bring in a family element, I know you can drive around Dublin and you can get in and support in places, but I suppose if you set up your own marathon, you can really get your friends and family involved in the whole day. And kind of similar to when Dara was doing his long run, he had people along the way, and he kind of created his own day and his own support.
Yeah. It's lovely.
It kind of adds, I suppose, an element I didn't think of. Like for when Seán does his marathon, I'm not going to go look at him.
You can have a pint in your hand as he's running by, you know.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I give him all his nutrition's got to be wrapped in duct tape.
Cheers, mate.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so really good. So you're feeling confident now for that you
confident. I confident. Yeah, cocky. No, like I'm not that confident. But I'll finish it. I'll start it and I'll finish it because I'm a stubborn old wagon. But I'll definitely give it my best shot. Yeah. And it's a finish line, and I'll use it as practice because the next real marathon that I run, you know, I'll probably take a little bit more seriously. But for now, it's just a finish line rather than a finish time, and just to get some practice, the miles in the legs. And
it's a great attitude to have, especially given the uncertainty of everything over the last year. So even I've fallen off the long distance game for the last little while. It's more into the short runs and stuff. So it is great to keep that motivation, and fair play. And there's a lot like you who are going out to do the virtuals, but hopefully it goes well. Hopefully you take a bit of your own advice, start slow. And just out of curiosity, me and Seán, we were going to get divorced and kill each other when we ran a marathon together. Are you and the husband going to be all right now if you guys are doing a marathon together?
We're not running it together. We're running the same marathon at different times. Let's just say we've got very different paces. We run a very different pace. We didn't pass each other once last Sunday, and I bet your bottom dollar if anybody passes anybody, it'll be him passing me, because I'll probably start off first and then he'll start off around the same time, an hour, 2 hours later, and aim to finish. We aimed to finish a little bit closer together last Sunday, so we'll probably aim for the same now next Sunday, or 2 weeks from now if we can. Really good. Yeah.
Well, me and Seán will do that, but usually I'll have to wait 2 hours for Seán to start.
Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
I'll give credit where credit is due. He hasn't this time. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him this time. He's
well done.
Playing a blunder. So will you, Jill. Well, the very best of luck. We won't keep you too long. Just the last little touch, and we'll use your expertise. Yoga this week. How did you find recovering with stretching?
Oh, not bad actually. I thought by Wednesday I'd be in a bad way. I thought I'd get worse actually, but no, I was fine by Wednesday, and I didn't do any running this week actually. I did all yoga and really, really enjoyed it. Worked on stretches, worked on the strength, stayed away from some poses because I was tired. Balancing poses and stuff I kind of stayed away from because I was tired genuinely, and I didn't take time off work to recover. So it was just stretching and restorative, and whatever happened on the mat happened, and I didn't set out to plan anything in particular, but just gave it good stretch, down dogs and pigeon poses and things like that, just to stretch out the hips, get into the backs of the legs, and not overdo it.
And did you find that all the yoga that you were doing, obviously we have you running yoga classes on our app, but did you find that doing all those yoga classes in the build up, the runner's yoga and stuff, do you find, although you said you had no power, did you find that you weren't injured because of it, because of the flexibility?
Yeah, because I was aware, I'm very aware of back pain, and I'm very aware of ankles and joints and things like that, and hips. So I found that in the lead up and in the build up to the training, where I'd sort of tapered off a little bit from the running, I found that strengthening poses and strengthening yoga practices for me worked really well. And I was a little bit delighted with myself. I was chuffed actually that I didn't have injury and I didn't have pain, whereas I did on a lot of my training runs I might have had, and I might have thought, oh geez, my quads can't take this anymore, because the quads were the one thing that I was really worried about, and the hips. But no, a lot of strengthening beforehand was the aim of the game. And even when I am running, I stop and drop. I just stop and I'll get into a down dog in the middle of a country road, and people will think, what's she at? But I'll do it in someone's driveway. But I don't care, it's all about self-protection and self-preservation for me. So whatever works.
It's very concept. As we talk about tapering off, people are particularly me, when I feel like I taper them off, I start to feel like, oh, I'm not fit anymore if I don't keep running 40, 50, 60 kilometers. But it's actually a really good kind of idea that you've said, is like, okay, well, as the running gets less, start stressing more or stretching more, start doing strengthening kind of injury prevention work. And it is something we do naturally, but I suppose now that you've said it out loud, it's actually a great way to kind of think of the balance, that as the miles are coming down, start working on the conditioning, and I suppose, and the stretching, and
that's it. Yeah. And I think with, the body has memory. So, we talk about muscle memory. You hear people talking about muscle memory a lot, and the body has memory. The body remembers. There are miles in the legs, and there are miles in the hips, and there's miles in your, to sound cheesy, but you've got the miles in your heart, and you've got the miles in your head. So, once you remember all the other bits that need to come with it, your head gets you through so much of it as well. And your body can only do so much. And, I know there's all sorts of cliche thoughts out there about your head getting you through 10K, your heart getting through 10K, your legs getting, and then the crowd or the people or your nutrition or your fuel gets you through the rest of it, or gets you through some of it. I don't know where in that order, my 10K slot in, because there's 4+ of them. But for me, I think, being positive in the head and having the absolute determination is as big a deal, if anything, as body strength.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself. No, really good. It's a really good way of looking at it. It's absolutely fantastic. But I've no doubt you're going to progress onto a better marathon. Not that any marathon is a great marathon, but for yourself, I think that with having those in the legs and focusing on the stretching and a couple of runs in the meantime to just keep that muscle memory up, I think you're going to have a great.
That's it. It's just another one for me. It's another marathon. And, maybe next year when I do Dublin again, and I adore Dublin, and it's my hometown. So, when I do Dublin next year, I will aim for my sub, whatever the case may be, You
want to put a time on that there?
No. No way.
Oh, go on. You nearly put it out there. Go on. What was it? Okay.
Oh, no, look, I'd be happy enough to get in under 5 hours, to be honest. I don't care.
Challenge accepted.
I'm just happy to get a medal around my neck, and I take any advice going, lads, as well, because I am no running expert.
We'll work on that.
I'm a determination expert, but I'm not a running expert.
That's brilliant. Thanks. Best of luck at the Greenway in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
We'll have you on pretty soon in the podcast to see how you get on. And that's pretty much it. That's it from myself, Jill, and Eric. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. And the three of us, take care.
Bye.